So, Mr. Doug MacLeod, welcome in the living room of Rootstime. We've been around, so I hope you like it. Welcome in Halen. It's a town with a small history from World War I. In 1914, we succeed as Belgium to stop the German army here in Halen. And it's called the Battle of the Silver Helmets, and that's why they have in Halen a small museum, and there you can find or see the helmets that the cavalry of the German army were wearing. So that's why it's called the Battle of the Silver Helmets.
Wow.
But you can still find them, and then there was also a project here in Limburg, in this county. They have asked a lot of people to make a helmet, it's a big one, and they may do whatever they want to do with it. So it's an art project, but all the helmets are now in the near of the museum.
Wow.
That's Halen, small town known from the World War I.
Thank you for letting me know that.
Just
I never
a
knew
small detail, but
I think it's great. Thanks for letting me know.
I think it's important because it's Halen, because when you go to Hasselt, it's in the near, the capital of Limburg, yeah, they can't find it. There are no helmets.
Right, but they stopped the German army
Yeah,
here.
they could stop the German army. It were a part of the Belgian army on cycles. They move not by feet, but on a bicycle.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That the cyclist, but I can't translate that correct in English, but that's known.
So I'm sitting down here in this like museum of blues, right? With
But
you
you're
guys.
also in a museum of.
And I'm getting an education on what this town
Yeah,
was like.
my brother-in-law, he wrote a book about the history of the silver helmets because his grandfather gave him a watch, and that was from World War, from that period, yes.
Ah, yeah.
He was an old guy, but that was the reason for him to write a book about his grandfather and the history of the silver helmets here in Halen.
Yeah, I'm really glad you explained that to me. Thanks, I wasn't expecting
That's one
it.
thing, and then the second thing is that Halen had also his own breweries. I think 3 or 4 with strong beers, and until today you can drink, I think 2. It's still brewed in on other places, but you can get them. But also strong beers, attention.
Well, I love Belgian beer.
Yeah.
Since my first trip over here. I've been a Belgian beer fan since.
Doc, before we go to your new album, A Soul to Claim, I have 2 general questions to warm up and because I was interested when I was preparing all the questions for today. Last year you have like we can see, survived the pandemic. What were your tricks or what did you do to get through it, to survive?
Well, I didn't have any tricks.
You weren't ill, or you?
No, I didn't have any illness at all. Just got to be able to. My wife and I spent a lot of time together, and maybe we found out that yes, indeed, we're supposed to be together. Because if you've been with somebody that much, you can either break you up or keep you together. You know.
That's so, sure. You have more time for being together and being at home.
And we actually enjoyed it, and I did more cooking. That's probably what happened is that I love to cook, and I cook Cajun style.
But you were months that you couldn't be on stage, that you couldn't do anything.
Yeah, so I needed something else. So I guess what I did is I cooked. I learned how to cook all these different things. I studied different things, but like if I cook an Italian meal, I would have to add my mother's favorite Cajun seasoning on there, just a little bit. So you always have this little kind of touch on it. I enjoyed doing that, and then actually co-authored a book back in that day during COVID. It was called Murder at the Crossroads.
Oh. It's a novel, no, or a...
No, it's brand new. It just come out. It's here. Teal's got the thing for you there.
Okay.
That's the cover of it. That's a book that I wrote with a lady named Deborah Schiff, and she had the storyline for a few years before we finally collaborated. And she got in touch with me, and a lot of the story takes place in LA during the time I was there with those musicians.
Yeah.
So she asked me if I could add some of my stories to her book story. And I said, yeah. So many times what I did was I sat on our porch. We got a porch outside of our bedroom. And I sat out there and maybe have a cup of coffee, and I would write, and I would do the stories, and she had asked me about like what was the history, where were these places at in Los Angeles and so on. I'd say that. And this photograph here, this is outside of Lula, Mississippi, right here.
Because you have moved from LA to...
Yeah, we live in Memphis now.
You now live in Memphis.
Yeah, we've been living in Memphis almost 4 years now. So, again, this is during the pandemic time. They wanted a cover, and I said, well, let me drive down into Mississippi and see if I find a place that just might work. So that's an old guitar case of mine.
You put it on the floor and then...
And I put it on that's a road, that's an actual highway. I forget which one it is. It's...
I thought it was a paint. But
well, I think they did something to it.
Yeah,
you know. But that's the actual picture, and then they superimposed this guy in there. But that's actually Mississippi, just somewhere, let me think, it would be somewhere east of Lula.
Okay.
Just a little bit east of Lula.
Very nice photograph.
Yeah.
Okay, that's clear for me, but there's a second issue.
All right, let's see if we can solve that one.
I call it because it was too long ago, the dub issue.
Dub, the record dub?
No, the dub, because I know when I show you this photograph,
oh, George.
He gave you the name. What I read on internet, I was Googling, I said, please explain me, he gave you the name.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
And then there was the text because he couldn't or wouldn't pronounce it, I don't know, but I think it's more than a second name or a nickname.
It is, I don't know how you actually perceived it well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened.
I think it's more a lifestyle of things that you want to, as I call it, promote, know that you are.
You know, I'll tell you what I've come to find out now, is that, I don't know if you know this or not, but George was born on my natural father's birthday.
He is from
April 22nd.
1924.
Yeah, but my father was born a few years before that.
Okay.
Right, my natural father was. But April 22nd was George's birthday. My birthday is April 21st. So George is born right on my natural father's birthday. But as history, my father and I, we did not get along at all. We had not a really good relationship.
I know.
So what happened was, is when I met George, he treated me like a son, and he told me I was like his son.
Yeah.
And what I think he did was, he named me Dub, D-U-B-B.
D-U-B-B, yeah.
Right? Because not my father, my natural father named me Doug. So I think what George wanted to do was give me his own name, like I was his own son. Because I would tell him, I said, George, you know, my name is Doug. And George would say, I know that, Doug. So he wasn't going to change the name at all, you know.
For me, you're Dub.
Huh?
For me?
Yes, yeah. For George, I was Dub. And now I know, because he was, he truly, honestly, he was like a father I never had. So.
But it was very important for you, because when you look at the other photo, put Dub on your...
Yeah, did you know how that happened?
That must be very important. That's not just a nickname or a name somebody gave you, no.
No, it's from Georgia, and I was doing the Merle Fest in North Carolina, and this young guy, I was just about ready to go up on the stage, and this young guy said, "I got a strap for you," and I said, "You do?" He said, "Yeah, can I give it to you?" I said, "Well, I got to play now." I said, "How about afterwards?" He said, "Oh, okay." I didn't think he'd wait.
Oh, you got it from him?
Yeah. And so he gives me this strap, and it says Dub on it, right? And I go, "Oh man, thank you so much." And he says, "Okay." And then somebody was talking to me, and then I turned around, and that young man was gone.
Oh.
Right? He was gone. He left. So, like I do with an interview like this, if you are the young man that made that strap for me,
Please.
or you know the young man that made that strap for me, will you please get in touch with either me or my manager? Because whenever I play, you're on the guest list. I love that strap, and I don't go anywhere without it. So.
And there's also a second story that I found, but I think that's not a correct story.
What?
It has to do with your working in the studio, recording, that you never accept overdubbing. No? Overdubs, or that you... that was the second story that I found, but again, it was not for me that I believed it. So.
It's half true, and I'll tell you why.
Because they wrote in it, it started in 1994. No, all the records without overdubs.
Yeah, from '94, when I recorded for Audio Quest, and when I recorded for reference recordings, there were no overdubs. It was all live.
Okay.
Sort of like they recorded back in the '30s, where they just brought the bands in or the musicians in, they put the microphone up, and that was it. So you took a performance. That is true. Now, this last record with Jim Gaines, there are overdubs on it.
Oh,
there are. There's some guitar overdubs. There's some. There's one song called "Be What You Is" that I played it when I sang it in natural tuning in the key of E, keyboard at the third fret. So that's G. Then Jim said, it'd be nice to add some of your slide on it. And he said, let's run this back.
So you have to overdub it.
Yeah, and I overdubbed that.
Okay.
But the actual performances on this album, the solo performances, live, that was it. And the actual stuff with these guys that I was playing with, one take. One take. Those guys from Memphis, they got an idea what this music about.
Okay. We have already introduced your new album, or I may not say your last, but your latest album.
I hope it's not my last. I got more to do.
From time to time I made it, but it's your latest album. It got the name A Soul to Claim. Your producer, you name him, was Jim Gaines. Is he that special as everybody says?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And you know what else? The great thing about Jim, I think, is as famous as he is the most down-home, natural guy you would ever want to meet. Yeah. He's a pleasure to work with.
Okay. You played on your guitar Peanuts.
Peanut, that's right.
One of your friends.
Yes.
And not all the tracks, the songs are done with a band, with more musicians. You have done a part solo on your own, yeah?
Yes.
And the other ones are done with, I name Rick Steff,
yes,
Dave Smith and Steve Potts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Potts also very known.
Yes.
You met him on many records, Potts, the great Potts.
Yes, he's, and let me tell you something the folks might be interested in. When Jim and I talked about it, adding the three guys, right? He said, we're not going to record till I get all three of those guys. I'm not going to work with just one of those guys or two of those guys. It's got to be all three.
Three or nothing.
Yeah. So we waited, and when they came in, Jim said, all you got to do is just sing the song for them, and they'll get it. and they'll write their own in the charts. And I said, okay, I trusted Jim. You know, I figured, you know, Jim been doing it for a long, long time. So I said, okay.
You're saying that they didn't hear the songs before?
No, they had no idea. They had no idea. Okay. So I'd sit down, excuse me, and Jim said, okay, go ahead and sing them the song. And I go ahead and I'd sing them the song, and they'd be listening, and they had these pieces of paper, and they'd be doing this and that. And then Jim said, fellas, you ready? And they said, yeah. And Jim said, let's go, boom. And we do it, and it was done. And then we did, there's 5 songs with the band, 5, and 7 with me solo. So all done in this one day, right? And then I'm cleaning up to help Jim, right? I'm cleaning up and I look at these charts, and you think there'd be musical notes or something like. No, it was like Egyptian hieroglyphics. It was some of these arrows going on. I'm like,
Chinese.
He was testing you. He was testing you.
I have no idea what those guys wrote, but they sure knew how to play it. Like when you hear it on the album, you go, oh, that's perfect. But I've never seen charts like that. They were just arrows and stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
Doug, like you said 4 years ago, you moved from LA to Memphis.
Yeah.
Is that, like you are a songwriter, the place to be for every songwriter, or why is Memphis that special, also special?
Well, I don't know, just songwriting. I think the thing about Memphis is, well, you get the history. You feel it, and the people in Memphis, they love this music, and they know this music. And you know, my wife Patty Joy and I, we sit down on this porch. We got now this screened-in porch that's by our bedroom, and we got like a New Orleans shotgun house, and we look out on a green, where the Mississippi is just a little bit over there, and we got the squirrels and the blue jays and the cardinals and the robins, they're all hanging out, right? And we sit out there, and we have said, why did it take us so long to get here? It just felt like home for the two of us. PJ, she's from Texas area. I'm from St. Louis. And that kind of lifestyle, it's like, it's easy in Memphis. It's easy. And you just roll with it, which is a nice thing to do, you know. Especially at my age, it's good to roll. Don't want to be rushed.
The title, A Soul to Claim, sounds to me a little dark.
True, but it's not. When you hear the song, it's not dark.
No, that's why I ask it, because when you're going to listen to I didn't find a really dark song.
Yeah, you think it is.
No.
Yeah. You know, it's part of that thing, you know, with blues, there's a lot of things in blues where people say it's about the devil getting your soul so you can play it and all of that. And a lot of people talk about that.
That's the first thing that you claim, and so...
Yeah, and so you think that. And in my experience, with Honey Boy Edwards, Robert Jr. Lockwood, they didn't believe that. They didn't believe Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil. They believed Robert Johnson was one hell of a musician.
Not the story of the crossroads and the devil and...
Well, no. You know what? Let me tell you a story, man. I was playing a show with Robert Jr. Lockwood. And we got done after the show, and I was looking at his 12-string. And I wanted to play that 12-string because I wanted to know how he tuned it, you know, and I wanted to know which strings were doubled and which strings were octavized and so on. I wanted to know it. And he saw me staring at it, and he said, you want to play that? I said, yeah, I think I would. And he said, let me ask you something. He says, what do you think about Robert Johnson and the Hellhound and at the Devil and the Crossroads? And I said, Mr. Lockwood, to tell you the truth, I don't think too much of it. He goes, why? And I said, because I think Robert Johnson was a hell of a musician. And Lockwood said, go ahead and play it. If I would have said I believed in all that stuff, Lockwood would have not let me play it.
No.
So, that's not going to make a whole lot of people happy, I know, because they want to believe that. But that kind of inspired this song. The Soul to Claim is a song about anybody that, you know, that you follow a negative cycle. It could be addiction to dope, it could be anything, but you always follow this negative cycle. It could be something that you do in your head, that you put negativity out. So the picture of this is, here's this guy driving down the highway, and he sees this poor hitchhiker out there in the rain. And he said, man, I'll stop and pick this guy up, right? All right, picks him up. The guy don't even talk to him. He don't really care about him. And he starts to realize, have I picked this guy up before? There's a line in the song, he said, we've been driving all these miles and you even never ever once asked my name. And the guy he picks up says, I don't care what they call you. I'm just looking for a soul to claim. Well, see, that's the devil. He don't care about who you are. He won't care about getting this. At the end of the song, the man that's driving the car says, get out. I've known you before, and every time I've ever picked you up, it's always been trouble. But today, I stopped the addiction. Get out of my car. And then the devil loses a soul to claim. That's what the song's about.
Okay.
Pretty heavy stuff, man. I'm telling you, I am.
Very heavy.
You wrote the most of the songs during the pandemic? No, all the songs. You can't call them my pandemic songs.
No, not really.
But you know why I ask it? Because I found songs to laugh, songs to cry, songs to think. I didn't find sad songs. Or
well, you know what? They were actually. It was recorded before the pandemic, and then it was put on the shelf because the pandemic, and we couldn't tour behind it.
yeah,
Right.
You couldn't test them, or you couldn't
Yeah,
try
we
them
couldn't.
out. No.
So it was what are they? It was put in the can until after everything passed, and now it comes out. Now it's a new album now, but actually, Jim and I recorded that thing before the pandemic. I think it was January, just before everything closed down. Yeah.
That's why I say
Yeah.
songs to laugh, songs to cry,
Yeah.
songs to think about, and songs to get angry.
Yeah. And now one pandemic song.
Great. Let me start with my favorite one.
Okay.
Where Are You?
Oh man. Yeah.
From the first time I heard it,
Yeah.
that song touched me.
Well, I'm glad.
I'm feeling in memories, emptiness, but it's a very great song.
Thank you.
Thank you for the song.
Thank you.
You make a better world with a song like that.
Oh.
Great song.
Thank you.
And then another one, Dodge City.
Sit here.
What the fuck is what
That's okay.
what is going on in Washington DC?
Yeah.
Great, some great words, and everybody recognizes the songs.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I think so. Not also we in Europe, and we know it's about that time. And Doug Hess, the man,
Oh,
is very, very good.
thank you.
Also a dub song, Dubs Talking Disappointment Blues.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's an exaggeration
Yeah,
of the
but
situation. Yeah.
That was my question. Why such a long title to get a quite easy song or a quite normal song? Are you disappointed? No. No.
Well, you know, that song comes from, I mean, it's an exaggeration. I mean, obviously it's an exaggeration, but
It's about you have to begin with yourself. That's the song about now.
no, it's much more shallow than that.
Oh. That's why you're laughing. Yeah.
It's very shallow. It's a song that's a play on when guys try and pick up girls in bars.
Oh,
and
yes,
he tries to pick up this girl, and he's always been the disappointed for some reason.
He's always hoping to get her, but
Yes.
yeah.
So here's this
I'm
one
mixing,
girl.
that's so
So this one girl, she decides she wants to be with him, right? And he goes, "Oh man, I'm real lucky."
autobiographic.
And then when he gets home, she takes off her eyelash, she takes off her wig, she takes off takes off her foot, pops out her eye, takes off her boom booms, takes off her girdle, puts all this in the drawer, and she says, "Now, baby, I'm gonna take you places you ain't never been before." And the guy says, "She's right, because when she hopped into bed, I hopped in the drawer." That's what it's about.
Great. I was mixing it with another one. I name a last one. I think that's very personal. The song about your son.
Yeah.
There's always love.
Yeah.
Also a great song.
Thanks.
Song about the love between a father and, in this case, the son. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. When
Because you have to know that your son was very ill.
with cancer.
Yeah, he was. He's okay now.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. That song came. The story in that song. Every word in that song is true. I didn't have to change any words to rhyme or anything like that. That story is true. It was the Sunday before Jesse, my son, and my wife Patty had to see the doctor in LA to see if he even had a chance to live. It was that serious. It was stage 4 form of melanoma cancer. So nobody knew. Of course, I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't sleep. There's no way I could sleep. And I was staying outside of Philadelphia, and I went out on this porch, and I prayed, but not like sitting down like this kind of praying. I prayed like I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I said to the sky, I said, "Can you help me here? Help me get through whatever." And I looked up, and there really was a shooting star that went by. And I said, "Holy smokes, maybe everything going to be all right."
You got a sign.
I did get, and I prayed. I asked for a sign. All right. So that next day, I'm coming out of this Chinese food with takeout, and my wife Patty called, and of course I said, "What's the news?"
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Well, the doctor says not only does he have a chance, but he's got a good chance." And holy smokes, I feel that now. I just, and it was a clinical trial that worked. He was at the end of it. Then I realized, after that emotional experience for me, I got out of me and started to think about everybody else, right? Because everybody goes through something. Everybody, not just me and that. Everybody goes through something that's as dangerous as that and something, right? And I realized, what was the common thing out of all of that? Love is the common thing.
Love.
Love is the
The
thing.
relation between a father and his kid, his son.
The love is it. The love, but not only between the father and the son, but
Yeah.
love between human beings.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be as deep as a father and a son,
Yeah.
but love to human beings make the world better. So I thought that was an important song. When I say, no matter what goes wrong, there is always love.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Great. I have mentioned a few ones, but there are more beautiful songs on the CD. Is there another special one for you that I must mention today, or that you want to?
Well, there's actually maybe 2.
Yeah.
One is Smoky Nights and Faded Blues, which is, I co-wrote this with Danny Jesser.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny was inspired for this back about 1986, believe it or not. And back in those days, I had a band. It was the same band that came over here for the Pier Festival many years ago. And we played in this place where George Harmonica Smith and Pee Wee Creighton would come in to sit in. And it was a real happening place. And Danny, being a lyricist and a poet, got the idea of an old blues man coming back to the place he played and reliving his memories. And he wrote the poem for me back, I guess about it had to be 94 when I got it. But I never found the right feel. When we were doing the album, it was a ballad. It was a ballad on it. Came in to play it, and Jim, being a producer he is, just said, you know, he said, I don't know if that really fits as a ballad. And I said, well, I don't know what else. And then the other guys were there, right? The other guys, Rick and Steve and Dave. And we said, well, I said, well, look, man, I don't know. How about a medium shuffle? And Jim says, yeah, well, let's see what it sounds like. So we played. And Jim goes, that's it. Let's do it. That's about as long as it took. And after that, we did it. And it was done. And that song, we talks about like it just an old blues man going back to see his time. And then the other song, I mean, there's a lot on here, man. But I like the song "Be What You Is, Not What You Ain't." Because if you be what you ain't what you is. Which sounds like a funny song, but when you think about it, what I'm talking about is animals are perfectly happy being what they is, right? Snakes don't say, I wish I had feet, right? Gophers don't want to be flying, you know what I mean? Grizzlies don't want to dart like a mule, an animal's perfectly happy. But human beings, oh no, we ain't happy with who we are. We got to be this, we got to be that, we got to do this. And
That's right.
the message of the song is just be who you are.
That's what they call human. That's why that is what they call human.
Yes, just be what you are. Just be what, like I said, be what you is, not what you ain't. Because if you be what you ain't what you is. The English ain't right, but the message is.
Okay. You got a lot of awards, recognitions in your career.
Yeah.
Do you think there's still missing one or two or some?
I hope so. I mean, I like getting them.
That's also, you don't say, I want to be that, or no, no.
No, not really for me. No, it's more like, that's really out of my hands in it. What I do is, I make the music, I do the shows, and if people say, let's put them up for this or let's put them up for that, that's fine.
Just going on and waiting for what's coming and wait and see?
Yeah, it's kind of like baseball players. I see it like baseball players. The theory of baseball, where a good baseball player, he doesn't think about getting the MVP award. He doesn't think about the home run award. He doesn't think about, what he thinks about is being the best he can that day.
Yeah.
Right? Being the best you can that day, not that far ahead, just the best you are that day. Be the best you can be that day and let everything else take care of itself.
So no big projects running or in your head?
Oh yeah, that doesn't mean there's no projects running.
Yeah, because I'm sure that you also have the bucket list with things that you once want to do.
Yes.
Is your list complete or still open items?
No, there's still some open items. There's one main one.
Maybe we may use some of them. Too personal.
No. I'm very seriously thinking about doing a video of my stories. The stories of all my time with the Bluesmen, right? We're talking about that now, getting that done. And I would like to get that absolutely completed. And the other thing we're looking at is there's an acoustic album of just me and my Peanut and
the guitar.
yeah, and the national I call Butternut. We did me and those two nuts. We did a recording in Nashville right after the pandemic, and it's just me and the guitars, and I like how it sounds, and I sent it to my manager. She hadn't heard it, and she said, "Oh, that's good." And so we're talking to the producer, and we'll see. Maybe that'll be the next one out. I hope so. I'd be proud to get that one out.
Okay, I have a few questions to finish. Who What will be your advice when you meet a young musician and he asks you, Doug, what must I do, or how must I tackle it?
Well, first thing, if you're an American musician,
Oei.
the most important thing you can do is find a partner that got health insurance.
Good.
All right, but let me answer seriously. I don't know why that came out now.
It's a good answer.
It's a damn good answer. And it's true too. That's why we're laughing. I mean, let's be serious about it. But I guess my advice to a younger musician now, especially like a younger blues musician,
Yeah.
who is not going to have a chance to shake the hands of the guys that I shook the hands of, right? And be around the guys that I was around. I would say to him what the old country blues singer Ernest Banks told me a long time ago. It said, never write or sing about what you don't know about.
Yeah.
Right? And never play a note you don't believe. That's the advice I would give to the younger musicians. Because there was more than just getting the music from these guys. Mm-hmm. There's more than just getting the music. You can get the music now. I mean, you go on YouTube and anywhere and you can see it, you can do all this, but it's not like you're in the room with them and not at the table with them. And the feeling that they had and their vision of life, these are the ones that I knew, most of them could barely read or write, and some of them couldn't read or write. But they had this philosophy of life in their mind, of how to live life, that to my mind was incredible. So I was learning so much from them. So for the younger guys that are never ever going to be able to get that firsthand, then you got to get it secondhand. So the good secondhand, it's got to be like, don't ever play a note you don't believe. That's honesty, isn't it? And don't ever write or sing about what you don't know about. What does that boil down to? Honesty. The music has to be honest. So how does music become honest? It's what's in you. Not what you think the audience wants to hear. What's in you, bring that out. And that's what makes a musician unique. That's what makes their songs unique, because there's nobody like you. Nobody on this earth is exactly like you. So you have to proclaim that rarity. That's what makes you unique and stand out. That's what I would give to musicians.
Great. Then I have a last question.
Okay.
It's a difficult one.
Well, maybe you get an answer.
It's about later on.
Yeah.
In the books later on, how do you want to be remembered? When they put your name in Doug MacLeod, let's talk about.
Yeah, what it was and.
Yeah, what must they know or tell about you?
Well.
A singer-songwriter, he moved from now, but.
No, I think maybe when you look on my life, you can put on my tombstone. It went exactly like that.
I don't know. It's just an open question. Just a question. So it's about later on, but I think it's somewhere it's important, because in a few words you can say a lot of things about somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's for me to say. Honestly, that's like, think about my baseball stuff. That's for somebody else. Whatever they say about me, I'm not going to be here to know about it anyway. So, but really, it's like, like when I say on my shows, this song's going to go exactly like this. My life went exactly like this. That's how I've always been. It's like, we're doing this exactly like this. We're not going to change anything on the show, right? We're not going to go back and say, oh, well, let's re-ask this question, let's do this, or let's refilm this. We're not going to do that. We're going, this going exactly like this, isn't it? Yeah. That's me.
Okay, Mr. Dr. MacLeod, that were my questions. Thank you again for coming to Halen. We are lucky that the war is over, so you won't meet any German people from the cavalry, but
Yeah, I'm glad they're there too.
just nice people like us.
Yes, indeed. And I hope that the people that might be coming through Belgium, they come by here, Harlan, and check this out. This is quite a thing they got going here. So I suggest you come on by and enjoy it.
Mr. Doug, thank you a lot, man.
Always a pleasure.
Very